Hello and welcome to another Nid bashing horde. I popped onto eBay and there was another job lot of epic scale Tyranids. It was a little bit more expensive than my last one. It was listed for this. After a bit of back and forth with offers, I managed to get it onto this. I still don't know if it's going to be worth it, but the main reason I wanted it was because I had more of these guys here in. And these are the ones that at the moment at least are quite pricey. It's weird that there are plenty of them out there, but because they're in so many pieces, people who have them don't tend to have complete kits. But the reason why this particular job lot took my fancy wasn't just that it had a couple of Bio-Titans in it, but it also had some of the old Epic 40,000, not even Epic Armageddon, the old Epic 40,000 kind of paperwork, like the ephemera stuff. And I've not got any of that. And as a huge Epic and as a huge Tyranid collector, that's interesting. So I thought it was just about worthwhile spending some of my hard-earned YouTube advertising money on this little box here. It is very neatly packaged. I don't know how the seller has separated the different bits, so I might start at the bottom and go to the top. Or I might start at the top and go to the bottom. I don't know which one will be more, what's the word, kind of more anticlimactic. I suppose what I might do is I'll cut them off so I've got the individual boxes, and I'll open the heaviest one last, whichever one that might happen to be. That one's quite heavy. Sounds metal to me. Should get better at ASMR, really. I'm just going to cut this open. ASMR is apparently can't, I don't know. That one's very light. That's probably the, and it doesn't rattle, that's probably the paperwork. That one's also quite light. That one's rattling, but it's quite light. That one's definitely rattling. That one's rattling a little bit. So you're going to have to imagine you're here in the room with me as you realise this one's the lightest. This one's the second lightest. Then this one. And this one. And this one. Then this one. So we're going to open the heaviest last. Let's turn it over this way and see what on earth we've got in this. While I do this, I might just talk about my history with the Tyranids. But they're my first army when I was, I suppose, still 11. Oh no, I might have been 12 because I think I was in year 8 rather than in year 7. Yes, I was in year 8, so that means I was going to think about what that meant in terms of American years, but I can't remember how your high school years work. It was my second year of secondary school. And I had a friend who collected Necrons, and he introduced, because they kind of literally just come out, and he said to me, like, oh, the Necrons are coming out soon. My dad and I have sort of scratch built all these kind of Necrons from before they were an official thing, because he liked them in the lore, but I need someone to battle against. Are you interested? So I said, yeah, all right, I'll give it a go. I like art, I like collecting, and I looked through the it was actually a Forge World catalogue he had, and he lent it to me and said, look through there, see which models take your fancy. And I really liked the Forge World Flying Hive Tyrant and the Forge World Barbed Herod, which was relatively new at the time. So that was fascinating, and the rest is history. So in here we've got a couple of lictors. I've got plenty of those, but they're very fun. Some Hormagaunts, again, I've got plenty, but more is always good, and they need to be transferred onto the more modern Legion bases. This was from the age when Epic scale was played on rectangle bases. And I don't know if you can see, I put the macro camera on, so hopefully that should adjust, and you'll get to see why I say stab my finger and made that bleed. So yeah, you can see how even back then these were really amazingly cool detailed models. It's just a shame they were all completely monopose. I'd be fascinated to see what they would do with the Tyranids if they'd made some nowadays. Who knows? Maybe one day. In the meantime, got all the old ones to collect. There's lots here. Here we go. These are some non-Hormones. These are the Gene Stealers. And again, I've painted one of these on my channel before because I used it on the base of my Titan. He's around somewhere. Here he is. Yeah, so there is a little tiny Gene Stealer hiding on the base of my Banelord. So the lightest package is this one full of Gene Stealers and Hormagaunts. I should do one of those, unboxing a Pokemon card things where the various sound effects go cha-ching and tell you how much they're worth. But I don't know how much they're worth, and I'm not going to sell them anyway because I collect Tyranids. That's kind of what I do. If you search my name on the Tyranid Reddit and the Tyranids Facebook page, although I'm not active on the Tyranids Facebook page anymore because I got blocked from it for some reason. I wish I knew why. If anyone watching is on the Tyranids Facebook page and can tell me, I'd like to know. It was probably something stupid, like I shared something that was technically copyright or something, but I don't think so. But either way, can't access that anymore, which is a shame because I did put an awful lot of Tyranids. Now this seems to be basically the same again, just this time with gargoyles. So you've got more of these little lictors. I might zoom into a lictor. You haven't looked really close up to a lictor yet. So this is what they look like. Obviously those feeder tendrils on the bigger model translate to just a big tongue sticking out on the Epic model. And of course, gargoyles. So there are a lot of figures here, which is nice. One thing I need to decide is how I'm going to paint these. I don't know whether I want to paint them in classic old school Tyranid colours with the kind of super bright primary and secondary colours, or whether I paint them in the green and bone of my 28mm Tyranid armies, so that they're kind of a tiny version of those. I genuinely cannot decide. Every time I think I've decided, I change my mind. So if you've got any thoughts on that, please do tell me in the comments, and I will tell you whether your thoughts are right or not. Aha, here's the fun stuff. This is the ephemeral. So yeah, back in the day of Epic 40,000, you made your sort of army list like this. So you would take a Hive Tyrant, and then attached to the Hive Tyrant, you could take a certain number of Tyranid Warrior broods, and from there you could take Carnifex broods, where these arrows are, and you'd build them out, and this would tell you how much you could take. And once you get to this point, then that's all the slots filled. So you can start another one with another Hive Tyrant, and this time I want to give some gargoyles to it, and I want to give some Hormagaunts to it, and I want to give some Heragils to it, which I think is really, really fun. I wonder if there is a way to translate this into the new way of army building. Probably not, but it would be good, wouldn't it? That would be very fun. So yeah, I'm glad I have some of these. I've never had these before, but they're very fun. I've seen the kind of old scans of them, and in the old Epic 40k Army book, they have, you know, the you may photocopy this page for personal use type versions, but the actual cardboard die cut ones, they're nice. They're going to go on my little Tyranid collector's shelf. What's in here? Again, it's not very heavy, but it is rattling a little bit. I can't tell which side is the opening side. Oh, it's this side. I must say, however expensive this kind of job lot was, they've certainly done an awfully good job packaging them. That's termagants. You can see how adorable they are. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bases of termagants. There's a few bases of Tyranid warriors. Just 3 to a base, Tyranid warriors. I know I showed these on the last video, but there they are. You have a couple with death bitters and one with bone swords per box. One's a bit bent and broken, but that's not the end of the world. That can be glued back if I find myself short of Tyranid warriors. If not, it could be a nice bit of basing. More termagants for a 5th base. There's another gargoyle stand, another termagant stand, a lictor, and an odd warrior. So I'm getting an awful lot of these infantry, which is nice, and they're in good condition and they're not painted, which means they'll be nice to glue fresh onto a base and paint up new. Let me just check. Yeah, that's definitely the heaviest one. This is slightly lighter. So let's see what's in this one. I'd like to know, like people watching this, is Epic your only system? Is Epic your main system? What's your kind of like first army? Are you a Necron player in 28mm? Do you wish that, you know, Games Workshop would go back to Armageddon and bring out all the older models? Or are you quite happy with the 30k side of things? Is Horus Heresy your main game? 30k style Horus Heresy. So there's one of the big older Carnifexes, and there's also lots of the slightly smaller but more detailed 2-piece newer Carnifexes in there. The smaller ones are probably, like, objectively better, and certainly better scaled, because, yeah, that is silly. I know Carnifexes are big, but they are not that big compared to... There's a Hive Tyrant, again, quite large for the scale, on a little 20mm base. I like 20mm round bases. Zoanthrope, from the days when Zoanthropes had legs. There's 1 Carnifex, 2 Carnifexes, there's a third, there is a third, 3 Carnifexes. It's a flying stand, which means I expect this is the box with... Oh, it's not the box with the... It has half of Dominatrix in it, but it doesn't have anything else in it. Interesting. So that's presumably why this one is so heavy, because it's got everything else in it. Let's find out. Hopefully this means I have left the best one to last, because if this has got all that, oh yeah, it does have all the biotitans in. Let's see what we've got. Oh, there's a little biovore there, hiding out. There's another little biovore. There's the head of the Dominatrix and the sail of the Dominatrix, but not the little middle body of the Dominatrix. I expect that is in this bag of netting. So there's a few bits just sort of outside of the bag. And inside this bag, let's see what we can find. There's Hierophant times 2 on the outside, but that's not true. It's got a mix of Hierophants and Heradules in here. Oh yeah. Right. Oh, there's another little biovore. Very useful, very interesting. So there's 1, 2, 3 mini biovores. Those are Hierophant legs. They may look similar, but if you see those next to each other, you can see the difference in scale between the Hierophant and the Herodule. So let's get a Hierophant stuff there, Herodule stuff there. Again, the difference in scale there between the Herodule and the Hierophant. So Herodule can go there, Hierophant can go there. This is a Hierophant face. You know, it's a Hierophant face because it's got the holes at the bottom, and the holes at the bottom there are for the lash whips, which hang on under there. It comes with space for 3, but I only ever put these 2 on. I think 3 looks a little bit too crowded, so I always use 2 lash whips per head. So he goes there. It does come with all 3 lash whips though, so if I wanted to give him all 3, I could. But like I say, it does get a little bit crowded on them. We have a left and right arm, which is good, so I could make a scythed Herodule. Or a barbed Herodule. There's the other wing for the Harridan. So there is the Harridan. It's been a long time since I've seen one of these with no paint on, because my one is recovering from a very, very old paint job. So that's what the Harridan used to look like. Two options for Herodule heads. For my army, I'm using these ones for the barbed and these ones for the scythes, just to, again, help differentiate between the two. Another biovore. We've got 4 biovores. That's fun. Here is the pilot for the Dominatrix. So that's a whole Dominatrix. No bits missing so far. There we go. Let's show you the difference in scale here. Those are Herodule legs. They look pretty big, but not compared to the Hierophant legs. The Hierophant is a significantly larger model on the tabletop, as it should be. So there's those and a whole bunch of guns. Now, although the Herodule is an awful lot smaller than the Hierophant, they share guns and scythes. They just share an arm socket, and you can choose which ones go where. I've been using guns on my Hierophant to represent the kind of 2 giant venom cannons that the 28mm model has, and I've been mixing and matching guns and these claws for differences between scythed and barbed Herodules. In fact, I can show you. So this is what I got from this wheel. This was bought separately for a lot cheaper because I was lucky with a bid. But still, I don't know what's inside it. Let's have a look what we've got. It comes with all the bits. It comes with a scything arm, which is nice. Legs, back legs, but only that head as an option, which is fine. It's not the end of the world. It is the better head. Not that there's such thing as bad head. The body and guns. So yeah, let me show you what I've done with my other ones. Got them over here. So the Hierophants I've been building pretty much as standard, but I've been underslinging the guns so it matches better the kind of big version. Calling them 28mm seems unfair considering how big the Biotitan is at that scale. So you can see there I've only put 2 of the lash whips on the bottom and just move them around to fill out the space. I'm trying to mix and match the poses slightly, so one's a little bit more hunched over and one's standing up, but they are big models. Heavy too, you could do some real damage with them. So they've now got a third to join their little polycule. And then with the Herod I've been mixing and matching between scythed and barbed. And these ones I've been doing the more traditional, if a little bit silly nowadays, overslung guns. Again, it just helps to change their silhouettes up a bit and make it a bit more obvious in case I only take one or the other. So now I've got, probably I'll build one more barbed and one more scythed with what I've got here, considering I've got at least one of each head. And that gives me essentially a box worth of the way I'm going to be proxying them into the Dark Mechanicum. Size-wise, it's not ideal. They are a little bit bigger than the Dark Mechanicum equivalents that I'm going to be using them for. So here's the super heavy Dark Mechanicum Walker, and that's going to be a Hierophant. So it's not far off. In terms of silhouette, it's very similar, but this is just a bit bulkier. But considering it's got so many wounds, it's obviously much bigger from the front, but about the same from the side. And then the Herod Jewels are going to be the smaller walkers, which they are a bit bigger, because there's quite a big size difference between the big walkers and the small walkers. But because they're all walkers, it makes sense. And I suppose I could also use them as Titans, seeing as they're Bio-Titans, but they're smaller than Knights even. So I know they're bulkier, but they're much shorter than even a Rastus Knight. So using them as a Warhound would seem a little bit silly. Either way, they're going to be a little bit silly. So yeah, these are about the size of a height of a Rastus Knight. But like I say, are very heavy because they're all metal. So I'm slowly building up this kind of Tyranid backlog because, you know, obviously I didn't have enough of a pile of shame. I needed to add some more to it. But it gives me enough models so I can play with them, and I've got a few different ideas for this project. One of them is to actually build a Warhammer Epic 40,000 force, because I've got a contact at the London Wargaming Guild who wants to play really classic Epic 40,000 and is happy to teach me how to play. So that's going to happen at some point when I get enough painted. But also, like I say, I want to proxy these fully as Dark Mechanicum because they seem so obviously suited to it. So I'm looking forward to doing that as well. It does mean building up an awful lot of old metal models, which I do not mind doing because I like metal models. In fact, the first model I painted this year is behind me here and is a metal model. The classic Lurtz from the Middle-earth strategy battle game. This was my first model of 2025 and probably I think I've owned it for about 20 years. And I figured probably worth getting some paint on it at last. and so give it a paint. So now I need to move on to all the rest of my dark mech. And like I say, my Tyranids. Looking forward to it. And then once I've got a equivalent dark mech and Tyranid force, we'll put them side by side and I'll battle them together and we'll see what happens. So yeah, the thing that makes this kind of worth more money is the fact that it has a Harridan, a complete Harridan, a complete including extras Hierophant, complete including extras Hierodual, a complete Dominatrix. These are all Dominatrix less so, but the Biotitans and the Flyer, they're all like quite hard to come by. As well, these slightly newer, slightly better Carnifexes are harder to come by. So I'm very glad that I have been able to come by. Interesting that there's just one random zone through. Wonder why. In any case, this is my Tyranid haul from this time. How do you think it compared to last time? Depending on the algorithm, next time's video might be showing up on the screen around here, and you can tell me which one you think was better. But certainly, I am looking forward to building this up and finally getting some paints on these monsters. Quite literally, monsters. So thank you very much for watching, those of you who have reached this point. Thank you to all my wonderful patrons, including returning members. It's nice to see people back. They said very nicely, oh, I have to go for a bit for finances and such reasons, which of course is very understandable. Finances and stuff reasons is why I have one to begin with. But they're very, very grateful they've come back, and they really don't have to. You know, in many cases they've had their what's the word? They've had their commission, they've had their request, they've had their video made, and they've got their models. So they're coming back for love, which is nice, because I do love you all from the bottom of my bottom. So yeah, thank you very much. I hope you all continue to have a wonderful January, and I'll let you know when I've painted any of this lot. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all probably in a couple of weeks when I've painted something. You're all wonderfully amazing, sexy people, and I'm going to go to bed now because it's late and I'm tired and I'm old. But all that notwithstanding, peace and love, and please, please keep on nid bashing. Peace out.